Gamer Feed Radio.
This is Gamer Feed Radio. I'm impressed there's no laughter actually picking up on the mics.
We had to step back. We stepped away and covered our mouths.
If there's table dancing, it's Gamer Feed Radio. Thanks for joining us, everybody. This is episode 32.
Wow.
We're going to be talking about platformers today.
Hiya.
Platformers. You know, those things where you run and you jump and you do all that fun stuff?
Wait, you mean video games?
Yes.
Wow.
Like we talk about every week.
Wow.
Unfortunately, though, or fortunately, however you depend on it, we've got some introductions to do first. So, starting off across the table from me, Gamer Feed Radio, social media mogul,
Yay!
Nick Delacave.
That's right. Golden. You better know.
Also joining us, senior correspondent,
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Metal Gear. Oh,
Brad Wallace.
I'm into that.
Nice.
I'm into that. Thank you.
Also joining us, junior correspondent, Kyle Pope.
Yeah.
And coming back for the first time in a long time, and it's unfortunate that you can't actually hear this, Tony, but you're going to have to trust me on it. Tony Grissmeyer.
Nice.
Hello, world.
It was the wow sound that I played the first time you were on the show, so
okay.
just so you... Okay.
So everyone has their own
That
little intro
works.
sound.
And I will be our host for this episode.
So classic.
My name is Rob Pugh.
This is Zero
Except
Suit.
nobody is doing that. There are no choirs of angels.
Today it's
Why didn't
Zero
I think
Suit
of that?
Rob Pugh.
Oh, God. We didn't need to do that. Oh, man.
It's always Brad with the really bad jokes.
I know.
And they're
It
always...
was bad.
I can't say that on live air. I can't.
Okay.
Well, on that note.
Let's move on, shall we?
Let's.
All right. First off, we're going to check in at the save point ever so briefly. Save point is our regular segment where we talk about what we've been playing, sharing our deeds in the saving, or some sort of nonsense like that.
Sure.
Anyway,
Some Final Fantasy.
going with the platformers theme of today's show, I went back and checked out Rayman Legends on Wii U.
Yes.
Which I've really been enjoying. I've never played a Rayman game before. We were going to talk about it on the show. I wanted to have some sense of not talking out of my ass, so I wanted to check it out first. I really enjoyed it. You know, a lot of people have said that. A lot of people have argued which was the better platformer on the Wii, whether it was Rayman Origins or it was New Mario. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people would argue in favor of Rayman. So I wanted to check it out, see how it was. At least Legends on the Wii U, and I really enjoyed it. It's it's a different type of platformer than what I've played before. The Rayman series is weirder than anything I've played before. It definitely has its own style going on.
Yes.
The art style is very unique. Music is very much a part of the games.
It's excellent.
They've got the which perhaps you've seen through other coverage and all that sort of stuff, because this is an old game I'm talking about. But they have the kind of the auto run levels where you're just running the entire time, and it's all set to music. So all your jumps and your hitting enemies and all that is set to whatever music is playing, and it's really cool. And because it's a Wii U game too, it also involves the gamepad and things too. So you have these. Why do you always do that? You freak me out when you start looking at things over there.
I was just looking at the board.
Okay.
Ignore me.
So,
Ignore me.
it's, so it's got a lot of good touchscreen functionality too.
Don't look at me.
So,
Yeah. So, are you enjoying the gamepad controls? I know we're talking about that.
I have been. It's a little weird. It's you're working your way through a level, and then all of a sudden you get to touch the bottom screen to unleash Murphy, and the entire rest of the level is going to change into touch based.
So, have you had any blow into the mic levels?
No, no.
sweet
Nintendo, I think, is
baby.
the only one that does that. But no, it's not basic stuff, but it's what you think of when you think of touchscreen stuff. It's kind of cut the rope type things.
Yeah.
Pop the enemies to get them out of the way, because you're doing all this down on the gamepad, and you've got your heroes actually running along the top of the screen too. So you're clearing the way basically for him, and moving platforms and cutting ropes and all that sort of fun stuff too. Things that aren't necessarily breaking new ground in touch controls. But I don't think they need to, really. We can talk about that at a later date. So that's Rayman Legends.
I really love the art style.
Yeah.
I played the demo, and it has that Ubi framework or something like that.
Yeah.
Whatever it's called. I guess they do a couple games like that. Child of Light.
Child of Light
It's
was
on
like
the same
that.
engine. And the first Rayman Origins, which is kind of a reboot, quote unquote. But yeah, I just love the way it looks.
Yeah.
It is very weird though. There's like oddly shaped enemies.
Yeah, it's different. I don't want to say weird because I'm sure there are people out there that love this series and have been playing it for a long time. I know, not that he doesn't listen to our show, but I've been hearing about Rayman as a series via Adam Sessler since the early 2000s on XPlay.
Yeah.
He always raved about that. So I know there's a lot of love out there for it. So I don't mean to say weird as in anything negative. It's just it's
Right.
different. It's quirky.
Very quirky. Very
So,
weird.
yeah. Alrighty, let's move on, shall we? It's time to hit up our feature presentation. So we're going to be talking about platformers today. And, platformers obviously are typically side-scrolling games where you're controlling your character, you're jumping from platform to platform, that sort of thing. There's a lot of different spins on it over the years. So we're just going to talk through some of the different big franchises that have been over the years been doing this game design. Obviously, we're not going to be able to hit everything, so you can comment if you want, but we know. So, where's Kirby? Well, meh, he got left out. So, we're going to start off talking about the big boy himself, the Italian plumber
No
Mario.
pun intended.
The original Super Mario Bros. Created in 1985 by Nintendo, follow-up to Mario Brothers from before. And obviously, everybody knows about the Mario series, so I'm not going to go through what it is and all that, blah, 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 blah. But I hope to maybe drop a few nuggets that maybe you didn't know about the series. Created by Shigeru Miyamoto, obviously. Was intended to be a swan song for the Famicom system because they were the Famicom Disk System was coming up soon, TM. So this was intended to kind of kiss off that system before they switched to the disk system. Jumping, obviously, is the core mechanic. Mario was originally called Jumpman. I don't think that's any secret to anybody. The core game design, of course, is that power-ups give Mario various abilities, as opposed to perhaps some of the other series that we'll talk about in a second here.
Yeah.
Originally, there was a shooting mechanic, which was dropped to focus on the jumping instead. They kind of came back and hit that sort of thing in Super Mario Land. If you remember, that has some shooting levels, some side-scrolling shooting, the submarine and the helicopter and all that sort of stuff, too. Yeah. I'm ringing some bells for you
You
there.
wouldn't even believe it.
Yeah. God, that game. I loved it at the time, but
Isn't
you go
it-
back...
you can get
It's
it on...
such a weak game.
It really
It's not
it
nearly
really
as
doesn't
good as
the
stand
rest
the
of the
test
Mario
of
Cease
time.
talking.
It's all right.
I'm kidding.
I'm kind of. Are you going to defend this game?
No, I'm just saying it was different. So, isn't it available on Virtual Console?
I'm sure it is.
Pretty sure
Yeah,
it is.
somewhere.
Yeah.
I think it's. I mean, sure, it's simple and it's a Game Boy game.
I was going to
but
say it's Game Boy.
It's good. It's a great game.
It's okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's fine. It's just I liked they changed the dynamic with instead of fire flowers, it's the super balls now, so they bounce around the level, and that's a whole different mechanic to kind of work your plan for. Plan your ricochets and things like that. The shooting levels were different. That was interesting. The graphics, man, I know it was early. I know it was
Game
very
Boy.
early.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what people thought they were expecting, but...
Well, the problem is you get like Link's Awakening or whatever for Game Boy, and that game looks like phenomenal.
Game Boy Color.
No, the original, not DX version.
yeah, you're right.
The
Oh,
old
okay, yeah.
school version.
Yeah, but-
that game looks great. It's
Yeah.
just, I think that maybe it's just because it's faster as a platformer and stuff. It just doesn't work quite as well on the Game Boy.
Yeah. I mean, it just took them a while to get there, but those early games were pretty much, Super Mario Land, Alleyway. They had like a Super Breakout. I don't remember. I think that's what
Yeah.
Alleyway was. There was another one that was on the tip of my tongue here that I lost, but anyway. But it took them a little bit to figure out how much they could really do with the pixels they were pushing this time around. So Mario, size changing is obviously a thing there via the power-up mushrooms. Originally, the game was designed to feature small Mario, but they changed it during the development to make the sprite bigger, and they decided to leave that in as a game mechanic where you could actually change size throughout. The infinite one-up trick in the first one was actually designed in.
Awesome.
They didn't expect
World
it.
3, baby, get it.
They didn't expect it to be so easy, though. They were surprised once the game came out that so many people figured out how to do it.
But
and could
yeah, but I
replicate
mean,
it as
if when
easily
you're
as they did.
5, it's not exactly easy.
Oh, I agree. I still can't do it.
Yeah, oh yeah,
I'll
I did it all
admit
the
it.
time. I loved it. That's a bomb.
I didn't even
never
know
played-
about it until the internet. I mean,
I was gonna say it amazes me how these things did travel like via word of mouth and
Well,
print.
Schoolyard.
Magazine, yeah.
I was gonna say
yeah.
print
Yeah, yeah.
magazine, but like they still
That's cool.
permeate
Yeah.
like that's
Oh, yeah.
ingrained in the game.
That and all the warp zones. I mean, it was
Oh,
cool
warp zones
finding
especially,
warp
yeah.
zones for the first time, especially in the like their very first
World.
dungeon that you're in, and you're like, wait, I can skip to world 4 or whatever. Peace out.
It's one of those. Yeah, it's like when your friend tells you, like, "Did you know you can run on top of the level?" And you're like, "Shut up, you can't." And then you do it, and it's like, "Oh my gosh, this is mind blowing."
I miss those days. I miss sharing tips in the playground.
But
and all that
now
sort of stuff.
you'd have to buy it for $9.99 a season pass to get the run on
Shut
top of the level DLC.
Oh.
Are we really going there again, Brad?
Yeah, it's
We're
legit.
actually going to touch on that in next week's
Oh, yeah.
episode.
Yeah, it's legit.
But,
it's legit gripe.
Yeah. Well, now we have to. Now that I've said that,
Now I
so
have to.
even though it's
Remember.
even though it's at the end of the agenda, now we got
Write
to
that
power
down.
through that show.
Write that down.
Okay,
forget.
so Super Mario Brothers 2, everybody knows, adopted from Doki Doki Panic due to the difficulty level of Super Mario Brothers 2 for Japan,
Try to
which
enjoy
we
that.
know as lost levels. They thought we were too. We would not make it through the difficulty level.
We
they're
Americans.
stupid.
We Americans.
But we
yes.
kind of are dumb.
Well,
generally.
you know. But I mean, Square did the same thing with Final Fantasy 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with Mist Quest.
Oh, the Final Fantasy series is all kind of.
Yeah.
Like, it goes from 4 to 6 to 12. To,
Yeah, we talked about that on the Final Fantasy
I don't
show, and I
actually
encourage you to go back and listen to it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm just in case
General
somebody
knowledge. Come on.
I listened to it.
In case somebody is listening to the show for the first
Hi.
time, it's just a neat little nugget. How Japanese games, when they come to America, are sometimes given different numerical releases and so on.
So I got some other
That's
nuggets
all.
for us
That's
here.
all.
Some other, not numerical nuggets, but you know. Originally,
come back.
originally, there was a Centaur power-up planned for Super Mario Brothers 3. It was dropped for the idea of the raccoon tail. That kind of makes me a little sad. I kind of
That
would have liked to
makes
see
me very
Centaur,
sad.
That sounds
Centaur
weird.
Mario.
Weird.
I don't know
Yeah.
if I
That would be interesting.
What would he
Like,
do? Gallop
yeah,
on
would he-
people?
would he
Headbutt?
just-
Roar?
No, he would just horse kick people. You run
Oh
up to
my
him, you hit B, and he just turns around and kicks them.
It could have been like the original Yoshi, except instead of riding a dinosaur, you are a horse.
Well, I kind of
Mario's
wonder.
stomach sticking out the front top? How would that work?
Just
a
mustache.
That'd be pretty gross.
Oh my god.
Oh, this is getting weird.
I kind of wonder if maybe that might not have been part of what they were thinking, because they had been trying since the first one to get like a dinosaur or some sort of mount in there, and I kind of wonder if maybe this wasn't a half step because they were still working out the
Right.
technology. They never figured it out until Super Mario World.
That is kind of weird that it took them that long. Tanuki is kind of animal-ish. He's
Well,
a
I mean,
raccoon.
we don't design games, so we don't know how difficult it is.
This
But
is true.
and Miyamoto's no slouch, so.
Yeah. I guess you
speaking,
could say that.
speaking of Miyamoto, the Chain Chomp was based on a bad childhood experience he had with a dog.
Huh.
You know, how a lot of times he'll put his experiences into the games. He'll designed Pikmin around his backyard, things like that. So I just thought that was interesting that Chain Chomp was based on him almost getting mauled, allegedly. The Koopalings, based on personality-wise, were based on Miyamoto's
love
programmers. I thought that was pretty cool. But they were actually named for musicians. Iggy Pop, Morton Downey Jr., Morton Koopa Jr., Lemmy Kilmister, Ludwig von Beethoven, obviously Ludwig von Koopa, Roy Orbison, Wendy O. Williams, Larry Mullen Jr. from U2.
Now, my question is, I gotta look back and see if the one based on Lemmy Kilmaster has a wart.
That's true, actually.
He's the guy from
We're gonna have to go back and check it.
Motorhead.
What?
One of them does. I don't think it's Lemmy, though. I think it might be Iggy.
Oh, I think it
got
is
like
Iggy.
a-
That's what I'm imagining.
And Iggy's the one with the glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also like how in Super Mario World they named the Triceratops-looking things Resners after Trent Reznor.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh.
There's a couple other
That's
Fun
something-
facts.
He's not quite on the level as like Ludwig von Beethoven, but
I think
he's still a
more
composer.
significant than
half,
I don't know, like
9 of
Lemmy.
or
I don't
6
know.
of those. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, this is also at the time he this would have been like I don't know, Broken or Downward Spiral.
yeah,
hadn't
this would have
even
been
come out
not
yet.
even Downward Spiral. This
Yeah.
would have been around the time late off in the first album
Yeah.
span. I mean, Broken was like a EP,
EP.
but like They're still mainly touring for the album.
That means there's some kind of super Nine Inch Nails fan that was like, first album day one.
Right, it was just like we're gonna name them after dinosaurs.
Some people memorize useless sports trivia. Others music.
Yeah, me and Brad are.
It's awesome. I'm just saying.
There's a place.
I can't retain any of that
Shout
kind of
out to the
information.
music show that we did. Episode
Yeah,
26.5.
yeah.
Go
Yeah,
listen to it.
0.5. We almost had another 0.5 today.
Yeah, almost. This
Caught
close,
it.
folks.
We caught it.
So any other fun facts you know about the Mario series?
Well, I think I covered this a little bit when I was talking about. I was going off on my Sonic tangent in the Super Smash Bros. Episode, but what I really, really appreciate about Mario is its ability to really just stay to the same formula while taking just small little add-ons, and then that in turn expands the formula. It's because you're always getting the same thing out of a Mario game: jumping on enemies, big fight with Bowser at the end, but
What are the new power-ups going to be?
new power-ups and just like little things like that always keep the series fresh and new and exciting for gamers for 25 years now, more than that, 30.
Like, pushing
30.
30.
Yeah, the 25.
I mean,
Yeah, we're
this year
we
is
are
30.
pushing 30
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mario's great.
Yeah.
Okay, then. What is the best game in the series?
I think Mario Galaxy is the best.
What?
I really do.
I mean,
Not
it's a
Mario
really good
Galaxy
game.
2?
It's not two. On purpose, I didn't bring it up, Rob. Thanks. But
One of these days,
bad
I'm not going to
blood.
let you in the door for a podcast and let's bring that damn game back.
I actually I was going to do it today, and then I forgot because my daughter I had to change her bed at the last minute. I get distracted and I forget. I did remember to bring Nick Heath's Big Planet back the other day. So
How long have you borrowed that for?
10 years. I don't know. But I'm remembering things now, and I made a point to do it this morning, and I forgot.
See, with Siri on the Apple iPhone, you can set location-based reminders.
I
You
can
say,
do that on
"Remind me,"
Google without your Siri crap.
but location, you could say, "Remind me when I get to my
Shameless
car."
product placement.
That's
Apple's just whatever.
to grab Super Mario Galaxy.
Yeah. So anyway, no, I actually like the first one, I think, because what it did is it was like, in my opinion, it was like what Mario 64 was to that generation. It completely redefined the way that you can play a 3D Mario game. And I think even though now they're going back and calling it faux gravity, like it's not really, really physics, you have to admit it was cool. And it was also the first Mario game with orchestrated music and other really good touches that I think have now defined the series going forward. So, maybe Mario Galaxy 2 was a better game mechanically, level selection, and other things, but I think the first one was, at least in my opinion, is the best in the series so far. For me.
My vote's for the original 1985 Super Mario Brothers.
Okay.
I think there's a good case for that being like
That's
the
legit.
best game ever made, or the most influential game ever made.
I think that's an easy case to make.
Yeah. I think literally any game designer today owes everything to Super Mario Brothers on the NES.
Yep,
It completely defined action games and level progression and all the things we've already talked about. Jumping and platforming.
It's like the Beatles of.
It's literally
Yeah.
it's what created an entire thing. Like Beatles inarguably created rock and roll.
Right.
As much as I don't like them, if you've listened,
We're not
you know
going to that, Brad.
Yeah.
Ever.
But you still have to respect at some level. Like, all right, this is
Moron.
this is the original gangster game.
Oh my god.
OG.
Bugs Brad.
My second favorite is Galaxy 2
Oh,
in particular.
Meh.
But
It's all right.
My favorite Mario game isn't a platformer; it's an RPG. It's Super Mario RPG.
Oh, yeah,
So-
good choice.
But as far as platformers go, I say my favorite would actually have to be Super Mario World 2: Yoshi's Island.
Ooh, okay.
That music.
anything with Yoshi is just the best.
Yeah.
The most adorable game character.
Okay.
Why don't you have?
Not
do you
the
have a
best.
Yoshi amiibo yet?
I think the actual
Yeah, I do,
Yoshi
actually.
games are
Why
kind
didn't
of
you bring
hit or
it with
miss.
you?
Why don't you-
very hit and miss.
Why don't you carry him in your pockets? You can, pet him, love him,
I was going to do
stroke
my
him.
Yoshi impression, but you guys don't want to get it.
Please don't.
No, we don't.
I don't know if I really want to see you try to do that.
No, you
Strain
don't.
your
It's painful.
face.
Oh my
It's
god.
painful.
I do appreciate the Dr. Evil quote, though.
I try.
What you got, Tony?
If I had to vote for my best for Mario series, I'd have to go with Super Mario Brothers 3.
Oh,
Love 3.
Just because I don't know. The
whistles!
There was the whistles, but I just loved the graphics with it.
Yeah.
I loved the gameplay.
All the
It was
secrets.
just all the secrets
and the overworld.
everywhere.
I love that's
Yeah.
one of the best things.
So
you've
much
ever
fun. I just played the shit out of that when I was a kid. So
had. Nice.
Yeah, and like Super Mario 3, I feel like perfected what Super Mario 1 was originally out to do.
Yeah.
And then having the hub world, the overworld, just became a sample for
Yep.
not only Mario, but thousands of video games to come. And yeah, absolutely.
It's honest. It's like
Probably my second favorite platformer in the series.
It's kind of like Galaxy 2 to Galaxy is Mario 3 to Mario 1. Super Mario 3 to Super Mario 1. It like took what was already there and just made it that much better. So I think maybe 3 might be a better game overall, but as far as innovation and being the gold standard, I got to go with the first one.
I'd agree with that, but
yeah.
as far as actual, I didn't
Moment-to-moment gameplay,
Yeah, moment-to-moment
yeah.
gameplay is different and better, in my opinion. I
And
guess.
the levels are like so much vertical. They're so tall. Like you can go up in the clouds and all this stuff that you can't do in the first one. I don't think there's really. You can go on top of the level, but yeah.
Okay, some of the Mario platformers up in one word.
Perfect.
What's it about?
Perfect. And I don't just say perfect on like a quality level because not all of them are perfect, but perfect as in like the physics feel perfect, especially in the first game. Like literally pixel perfect. Like when you're jumping on something, it feels like you're landing exactly where you should be. It doesn't feel unfair. If you die, it's because you messed up. It's not because the game did something stupid or glitched out.
Unlike today.
Right, exactly. I mean, seriously. But yeah, that's perfect platforming as a gameplay mechanic.
I think that's why he's persisted so long. The series has persisted.
Yes.
Anybody else got
Anybody
something?
else?
I was also going to use the word persistent, but in a good way. Not as in like, oh, so annoyingly persistent, but
Yeah.
in like, oh man, this guy is alive and kicking still.
Yep.
Yeah, if you
No
can still
pun
pull
intended.
that off in 30
Yeah,
years, like,
exactly.
Yeah.
it's a big deal.
All right. Let's move on now to the Sonic series. First one came
So since
out.
we talked about this last week, can we do like the short abridged version?
Well, we've got some different things here.
Okay. Darn it.
Started in '91 by Sega team, created by Yuji Naka. The idea was to design a character as iconic as Mickey Mouse. Talked about all this stuff last week. Running at high speed is your core mechanic. You use springs, slopes, loops, acceleration pads, treadmills, etc. To assist in that, depending on the game. They developed a special algorithm to allow a character to run smoothly along a curved surface for
Which
the
is
first
super
one.
fun.
Which I thought was, it's something that you never think about. You never realize that, okay, this wasn't possible before.
Right. And how
Naka's
fast
team
it does
figured
it
out how
without
to do
being
it.
glitchy.
Yeah,
Just saying.
really
Very
smooth.
true.
At first, anyway.
Yeah. First game was offered as a pack-in. Genesis owners could request a free copy by mail. Recent games obviously have been criticized for straying too far from the formula. We've touched on that before. Kyle, I'm just going to open up the floor to you.
Yeah, I'm just going to take over now. Let's say about New Sonic. Of course, I'm also covering this on an article I'm writing, but Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2, kind of like the first two big transitions for Sonic into the 3D realm, they were not perfect. They were super glitchy, super just weird, and the controls are weird, but it was acceptable because the game was charming. It still kind of kept the formula alive, and it was forgivable because it was still early on, and making 3D games is hard. The transition from the 2D to 3-dimensional, it's not even like I couldn't even begin to understand how hard that would be.
Sure.
To transform a 2D platform game and make it great in a 3D without being completely broken. And they did an okay job. So my thing is, what happened? How did they not just improve on for Sonic Adventure 2? That's one of the biggest questions I have for Sega and the Sonic team in general is how did they get so far south when it came time to release the next-gen reboot in 06? Like, what happened?
I think for me personally, and I've really given this way too much thought, especially since our episode last week.
Mm-hmm.
I think all the 3D Sonics, in my opinion, pretty much suck, and there's without any exception. And I say that because I just don't know that the formula of the speed and the curves we were just talking about and everything translates nicely into that while still making it make sense. It would seem to me that if I was Sonic Team and I wanted it to be successful, I would go back and do it like Donkey Kong like Tropical Freeze, and you can have 3D-esque elements while still retaining the 2D level platforming.
2.5D, yeah.
That really made it what it was.
That's what they did for Sonic Generations, and it worked. It worked very well.
It did work.
And I mean, we talked about the 3DS version, and obviously I talked about the Xbox version, and I mean, both summed up how Sonic should be played now. And
they're trying to commercialize it too much, and they're getting away from what makes it great.
Right.
I think.
Exactly. And Sonic Colors was really good in that, too. They kind of combined the 2D and the 3D platforming aspect as well, too. And so, Sega was like, I finally got their heads out of their asses. And, like...
And then they put it right back in.
What's that sound?
Sonic Boom is an atrocity.
Yeah.
It is... An absolute
it's about as bad
mess.
as a game based on an existing
Sonic
franchise
Boom
could be. Yeah.
No, Sonic 06 makes Sonic Boom look like Sonic 06. First of all, it completely takes away the gameplay. It's not fast.
I think you just broke the space-time continuum with that statement.
I know.
Interstellar.
It's clunky.
Rob's brain is like...
It's clunky. Sonic does not go fast. There's a glitch in the game where you can skip the entire game with Knuckles just by pausing and repausing, and he does like a triple jump.
I love that.
And so
it's Kirby basically.
It is Kirby, yeah. Except you have to pause. Bidoo, jump, bidoo, pop, jump.
That's pretty bad.
It's a shame they don't make turbo controllers anymore.
I loved my original Nintendo Turbo controller with the joystick, the giant with the big buttons.
On your lap, and you're like,
yes!
I'm playing so
oh my
hard.
god!
But the point I'm trying to make here.
I'm playing so hard. I need you to record that and send me the file, please.
The point I'm trying to make here, though, is like Sonic Boom. It looks good. It's pretty. It's not finished, and it had potential. And at E3, it was praised for like one of the best looking platforms that was going to come out. And so, I just finish your games, Sega. Finish them. I don't care if you want to get them out for Christmas. Just finish your damn games. This is just Sonic Rage coming out again.
No, but that is another example of broken games.
Rage.
I mean,
Right.
That's fine. We understand. You need to let it out every once in a while, otherwise
really
you're just going to
do.
explode.
yeah, clearly unfinished.
I would love for you to write an article about this on our brand new
He's already
Schnazzy
planning on it.
website.
I'm already. It's almost done.
Yeah, on our brand new Schnazzy website.
It is. Oh my gosh! Shout out
that's
to the
what
new
we're-
website.
Oh my god, it's
That's
awesome.
what we're doing there is we're
Because
teasing the
it's
website.
gorgeous.
It was a
it's
really excellent opportunity to do both. Yes,
Oh, okay.
but yes, super cool website. Get it?
Get with the picture. Stay the course. Get the formula back. Stop making unfinished, crappy, broken games.
Do not
Stop
be
it.
the mini-me of Ubisoft.
I kind of wonder if maybe it isn't, and this is just a suspicion on my part, I have nothing to back it up, but the first three were recognized as being the best in the series.
In my opinion, some of the best games ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those
agreed.
were the
they
three-
rank up there with Mario,
Yeah, and then Naka left.
I don't think
the
so.
original.
Shut up, Brad.
I agree.
And then
Sean.
Yuji Naka left.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably.
I kind of want, I don't know if there's been another guardian of the, like if there's been like one guy overseeing the franchise since then, or if it's just turns over
It's
each time.
Sonic Team.
Yeah,
whatever
but
that
see,
means.
but that I think is a really interesting point.
Well, it's like,
because
what would Mario be like without Miyamoto?
what would Nintendo be like without Miyamoto? I mean, let's be honest. Any core IP that
Bad.
ever existed has come somewhere from a kernel of genius he had when he took a crap that morning. And I don't understand how that is possible, but it really makes you think, because all the rumors of his retirement are greatly exaggerated. But like Apple with Steve Jobs, what will happen to the Big N when he, takes his final crap and says, "I'm done with this"? I'm just saying. I had to keep the analogy.
All right.
End to end, no pun intended.
Wow.
I think with
You make a good
Nintendo-
point, though.
Nintendo
Your
has,
metaphor is a little weird, but it's
crapping.
good.
Nintendo has quite a different culture than Sega. Sega, there's got to be high turnover.
but-
People have to be coming and going.
Yeah, but I mean,
left and
Yuji
right.
Naka, though. I mean, the point is, though, he was, the hardcore
Well, yeah, during
Japan
those,
Genesis guy.
Like
so
we talked about all last episode,
Absolutely.
the whole Genesis
yeah,
game side.
you
we
lose
didn't talk about as
Papa
much.
Bear. Look what happens.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I've never been a huge fan of Sonic, just partially because I never played it.
We
and didn't
couldn't
have
tell.
a Genesis. But I did have the adventure games on GameCube. I wasn't crazy about them. I could clearly tell that they weren't the best, but I still had a lot of fun with them. I actually had a lot of fun with the.
That's pretty much what I was saying.
Yeah, they're not horrible by any means. I know Nick says they quote all suck, and I'm sure
Most
after
of them
that
are
they
pretty-
especially do.
pretty-
But I had a lot of fun with the what were they called? KOs or whatever? Chaos?
Chow Garden.
Yeah, Chow Garden. That was so fun. I love that. It was like a little RPG seed sim thing. That was better than like the platforming. But
It kind of was.
Okay, so we went. Sorry.
no, I was gonna say, but as far as the Genesis games go, I'm not crazy about them. They are fast, and I never thought of it innovating as far as curved, half pipes, whatever.
I didn't either.
But I don't like the way they feel in that Sonic takes up a lot of space on the screen. He's just a big character, so it's hard to tell where you're going a lot of times in Sonic games.
That
like
is
you're flying around, and it's almost zoomed into.
That's
the
why you have
tower.
10 minutes a stage, right? So that you
Yeah.
can go back and explore and
And they do lend themselves to
Try to find
alternate
every
paths.
ring.
A lot of those levels do.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I just, in general, I don't think they feel as good as Mario. Mario's very small on the
Yeah.
screen, and he's always at the bottom.
Yep.
Sonic's pretty big, and he's always
in the middle. I agree. That's interesting.
I've always
kinda
agreed with
feels
that. One other thing I've always felt about the Sonic games, the rings are kind of pointless.
A little bit.
You can have basically you've got two states: one ring or 0 rings. I mean, I know. At a certain, I think it's 50. You get a 1-up, something like
Get
that.
100.
100, and then you have to have 100 in order to get Supersonic once you have all the Chaos Emeralds. So
Okay.
Actually, that's 50.
50, sorry.
Okay.
I knew it was one of the two. But then that drains your rings until you run out, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
But I feel like, and maybe it's just that I suck at the playing Sonic
You
games.
can play
but,
Sonic 2.
I have.
Oh.
And I enjoy it. And we'll
Okay.
get to that in a second
Okay,
when I finally have a chance to segue into what's our favorite game in the series.
We need to do that.
But I feel like I'm never really worried about going everywhere and getting everything. I'm just worried about trying to survive and then go pick up one ring so that I've got a hit before I die, and then that's pretty much it. So I don't know. So we kind of talked about this a little bit in the pole position comment thread last week. James Lowry and I a little bit. But what's your favorite Sonic game?
Sonic 2. I said it last week. I'll reiterate. All day, every day. Love it.
I'll say Adventure 2, just for the reasons I talked about.
Okay.
Just like the raising and actually it did have a lot of variety. Each character, you could play as Tails, Sonic, and Knuckles, and they all played differently.
And you can play as Dr. Eggman. That was
Yeah,
kinda
you had
cool.
these giant robot levels where you're
And,
stomping on stuff. You're shooting
And
missiles.
actually, Shadow was very well received.
Man.
Yeah, Shadow is...
They kind of killed Shadow in the later games, but
But they made a shooting game, like a spin-off of Shadow,
I know,
didn't they?
I know, Brad.
Yeah.
I know,
Meh.
I know.
Meh.
And
We don't talk about
and
that.
my heart, and my heart.
My heart. But
All
I
right.
did like how Knuckles, you'd be climbing around looking for emeralds. I liked
Yeah.
how Sonic was more straightforward.
It was
fast platforming.
It's a fun game.
Yeah.
It's a fun game. Mine's 3 and Knuckles. Again, I said this
Okay.
last week.
Yep.
I consider this the same game because it is the same game. It's like a 2-parter. It's like Mesmerize to Hypnotize, System of a Down. It's just the biggest game, I think, and I think I appreciate that. And then you get to play as 3 characters. You play as Sonic, Tails, or Knuckles, and Big Arms Boss Team.
Is that the one with the add-on cartridge? Where you're
Yes.
plugging into it?
Oh, and I think that's really cool
It is
for
very
the
cool.
time. At the time, I thought it was really cool.
It is pretty cool.
Tony, what you got?
Unfortunately, I'm torn between Sonic 2 and Sonic and Knuckles because my first gaming platform, other than my sister's NES, was my Genesis. So that was my game. That was my thing to play. And it came with Sonic 1, and then I eventually got Sonic 2, and I loved that game.
Oh,
I love the
hours and hours.
graphics.
Yeah.
I love the gameplay for myself personally. I can deal with it flying around the screen, unlike some other people here.
I love how everyone's slinging it at
Hey,
you.
different-
I know,
strokes for
right? Just
different
throw it
folks,
everywhere. I think it played really well to my ADD. Because then I could follow it around the screen really fast. It's like,
I'm
oh,
right
great.
there with you, brother. Right there
But
with
then
you.
I also, for Sonic and Knuckles, I love the gameplay with Knuckles along with it and everything like that. And the fact that, you could play as Tails and fly around, that was fun because then you could explore more and see more things. But
I do enjoy that just as a general platformer thing where you've got the option to play as multiple characters.
It depends.
Okay.
Because later on, when we talk about another game that just had an iteration where you're required to get different extra people, I like like Mario 2, the original Mario 2, or Super Mario 3D, where I can select my character and deal with the mechanics in that particular stage. Not you must use all 17 different characters to make the level work. Screw that. It's too much work.
Okay.
All right.
Just saying.
More later?
Yeah, we're talking about it later with.
Like the
I'm just not sure which franchise you're talking about.
LittleBigPlanet.
Oh, okay.
You have the three.
okay.
The 3, 4. Right.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right,
Brad.
we'll get to that later. Next up on the agenda, Donkey Kong Country. Released in 1994, developed by Rare.
It's so good.
Is 2D platforming. There's a lot of item collecting, particularly in 64. You have animal friends that you can join up with, in addition to having multiple characters that you switch off as and do co-op with and all that sort of fun stuff. There's barrel blasting, there's underwater levels, there's minecart levels to add variety to the actual kind of platforming itself. It was the first Donkey Kong game not directed by Miyamoto. It's directed by a gentleman from Rare called Tim Stamper. It was the first game to, well, not the first game, but one of the biggest, most visual games that used pre-rendered graphics, advanced computer modeling, where they'd model everything on computer and then basically digitize it so they could, have graphics that look better than what this SNES could do typically. And then there's the quote, "Donkey Kong Country is proof that people will play anything if the graphics are good enough." Attributed to Shigeru Miyamoto.
Yeah, boy, that's irony.
Yeah,
Looking back on it.
well,
Yeah.
I
He
will
had some
say the first trilogy of Super Nintendo games, they really aren't that great. Like when I was talking about perfection in Mario as far as platforming, Donkey Kong Country is totally imprecise.
DK is very floaty.
Yeah, you'd be floating all over the place. You'd be jumping
You try
on a
to
ledge.
stop
you
and
kind of
you
make it.
skid
You kind of
and-
don't. It's
yeah.
all pre-rendered, like you said. So it doesn't feel as rigid as pixels on a normal screen of like Mario World did. That being said, the graphics were like unbelievable.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I love
It was
that game.
gorgeous.
And the music was outstanding.
Oh,
might
Underwater
be
music.
unpopular opinion, but
Oh, that water theme is
The
one of the
best.
best video
Oh
game
my
tracks
God,
ever.
Ever.
unpopular opinion, but I think the Donkey Kong Country series, as well as like games like Super Mario RPG, who had like that nice
That CG
Yeah.
looking
CG looking stuff, I think those look better than almost all the Nintendo 64 games.
A lot of them.
Okay,
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah.
Specifically,
Compared to, like,
Super Mario
Pilot
64, Legend of Zelda.
Yeah,
Oh, you
things
take
got
it
really
back.
jaggy for a few years there.
You had me at
I
Mario
don't
64.
think the Nintendo 64 aged well at all.
It doesn't.
Oh, no.
No, it
It's
doesn't.
aged awfully. And
I
thank
will
God
say-
Zelda got remixed. Otherwise,
Zelda
stupid.
Ocarina of Time did pretty well because a lot of that was pre-rendered, kind of like these
Plus, it's
Donkey Kong
dark,
games.
so it worked.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
worked a little better. I think Majora's Mask aged way worse. Did I say
Really?
Majora's Mask?
Are you
Yeah,
sure
what'd you think you
I think you
said?
got that backwards.
Majora's Mask, because everything was modeled. You go into a house and everything was blocky and stupid looking.
It was like that in
You go
Ocarina
into-
of Time.
No, you go into a house
Yeah, it
in
was.
Ocarina of Time, and it was an image. It was a CG image. Like when you start the game and you're in
I
the
think
treehouse.
both games look very similar.
I think
No.
that's not on the agenda.
I'm just saying, as far as graphics aging, it pre-rendered. Yeah,
It'd be the first time we've
CG.
wandered off the agenda.
we do
But,
that.
This show.
Never.
No.
But I don't
I'm
know.
just
I mean, just to put a ribbon on this little tangent here. I mean, Majora's Mask used the RAM upgrade.
Well, that's
to
why I
great
think
effect.
it looks worse because it did use the RAM upgrade, so they thought they could get away with actually
But the character models-
polygoning everything.
We talk about sum it up in one word, which we forgot to do for Sonic. Maybe we could hit that in a second here. But we talk about sum it up in one word. Ocarina of Time, as much as I love it, my one word is pointy. Because everything was... everything
just
was-
like Tomb Raider.
Okay.
The original.
pointy.
Very pointy.
Chicken's done.
Chicken's done.
Madonna.
Low polygon count.
Oh my god.
Come on.
I don't know. I would say Mario 64 especially hasn't aged that well. But Ocarina of Time has aged way better than 64. Mario 64.
I would agree with that.
But, you
Okay.
know.
So
that being, back to Donkey
I'm still
Kong.
saying didn't age
yeah,
well.
Donkey Kong Country.
Donkey Kong looks like amazing. It looks like a
Phenomenal.
Pixar movie. It looks like Toy Story or
I
something.
love Donkey Kong Country. I did the pre-order. I got the videotape.
I got that VHS tape.
Yeah, where you get the 15-minute behind the
Behind
scenes
the
sort of
scenes
thing.
where they go to
and then
Rare,
there's-
and it was like, whoa.
And then there's the extra, the little, you're not supposed to see this thing at the end with where they're working on
Yeah,
Killer
oh gosh.
Instinct in the back room somewhere. That was so
Forgot about
cool.
Killer Instinct. That
Yeah.
existed.
Many people did.
Yeah.
Glacius.
Including the recent re-release.
Including Microsoft, yeah.
Oh.
But yeah. Anybody have anything to say
No.
about Donkey
Donkey
Kong?
Kong Country?
Not that I have not already
No,
iterated.
you
Not that many played
That's
it.
what I was gonna say.
I like Donkey Kong 64. I know you don't. And I think that's wrong.
Well, there was when you've got 5 different characters and each one of them has their own color of bananas where you have to get 100 in each area, and each one of them has an instrument that you have to. And
You're talking to the guy that obsesses. I mean, he has severe OCD on item collecting. Can you tell?
Yeah.
It hurts his head.
That was where Rare's brain broke on the collectible stuff because they always had collectible stuff.
That was
It
the
was
game
over
that
the
broke
top.
collectathons in general. Like that was literally
Yeah.
the last big collectathon game. I think a lot of people
so
got
much.
that was it. Yeah,
And there's
it
a
killed a
difference.
genre basically. Of 3D
It
items.
was tedious that you had to collect so much just to unlock the final boss.
I still liked the game though. I like
It
it was
played
right
well.
there with
It
Banjo
played well.
Kazooie.
Yeah, I mean, it was
really
alright.
liked it. It was like a trilogy.
More on that later.
Yeah, it was like Banjo
just
2E,
wait till we get to
and
Banjo.
Donkey Kong 64 all worked
So
together.
much to say.
But for me, and we'll tie this into the sum it up that we missed before. But for me, I kind of put, in some respect, I kind of put Donkey Kong and Sonic kind of in the same basket. In that Sonic's all about speed. Obviously, that's my one word for Sonic. I think probably safe to say it's probably everybody's one word. So
Yeah,
Gotta go fast.
Donkey Kong Country
Don't
for
give him
me is
coffee.
all about flow. It's still about busting your way. I mean, it can be. You can slow down if you want to, and you can grab all the collectibles, or you can just bust through a level.
Yeah.
But you just get into this flow where you're bouncing off things and into barrels and timing everything, and it just feels really good, I think.
What's your
So-
best in the series? Donkey Kong.
Tropical Freeze.
Yup.
I was actually going to say Returns for Wii.
Okay.
Just because kind of has been the trend with my picks here. But it was the first of the 3D
Okay.
reboot, I guess you would call
Defend the waggle controls.
it. I don't think they were that bad. I actually
Please
liked
don't
Really?
ask him to do that because I don't want to hear about Brad and his waggling controls. Okay, please, can we not?
Did
go
we
there?
need to go there, Nicholas?
Yes, we did.
Oh.
Anyway,
It's Brad after all.
I thought it felt pretty good. Like holding down and then shaking to pound and then blow or whatever it was. Like you blow the. Stop it! Get
It was just-
out!
we
Go
talk-
away!
We talk about Mario's word being precise, right? Or
I thought-
perfect.
well,
that for me is exactly why I don't like Donkey Kong Country Returns, because all the waggle stuff was so imprecise.
I thought it worked fine. Same thing with like in Galaxy when you'd shake to like activate the star or whatever, and you'd go flying around. It's basically just replicating a button press, so it's not that. I don't know. I think it was that bad.
Well, except that if you're using the tiny little D-pad for it, and then
I never played
it
in
detects between
horizontal mode. I played with nunchuck.
Okay. But that was my problem, was that you're playing horizontal, you're trying to do but it, for whatever reason, it detects forward instead of down when you're trying to blow, and it rolls you into a pit.
That's true.
That's what I didn't care for at that.
I still think it's just,
But Tropical Freeze, I think we can, at least
it is better, and for that matter, the 3DS Donkey Kong Country Returns
was much better than the
Was
the
probably
first one was.
I never played it, but
Yeah.
if you had to go get a version of it, I would say get that one. then.
Absolutely.
But I love that. It was way better than the Super Nintendo games because Super Nintendo games are extremely hard, and I'm a champion of like, oh well, like I said, it's your fault, not the game's fault. Those games just felt cheap and they were frustrating. I don't know. I never had. It would get a point where I'd stop having fun and it would just be like.
I can
so
see that.
Frustrating.
2 got pretty nasty about halfway through.
Yeah, I got 2. I never had the first one. I had 2 on Super Nintendo.
I never had 3, so I can't speak to that.
Nobody had 3 because it came out the year the 64 came out.
For me, 3 was a little
Well,
bit
not
too much of a
nobody,
stretch
but-
because
I had 3.
the first one you're playing as Donkey Kong, I can latch onto that. The second one you're playing as the new
Diddy and
sidekick
Dixie.
introduced in the first game, I'm like, okay, fine, I can deal with Diddy. But by the time we're on, backups 3 and 4, going off to save the other 2, I'm like, I can't latch onto this anymore.
Yeah.
I'm glad they stopped there.
I hate you. I don't know. I don't have a response. Anybody else have anything more on Donkey Kong Country?
My favorite's the first one.
Okay.
I love the first
It's-
one.
The first one was great.
Yeah, love.
It's beautiful. The music's amazing. One thing that really threw me off the first time I played that game, first time I played all the way through it, was Decay Rule Boss. Because, it's a very easy boss fight, and then you got that, little happy, pirate music going on.
I do love the
And
bosses
then-
in all the
And,
games.
oh, yeah, they're great. And then, all of a sudden, you just, hear the kind of the happy-go-lucky pirate music kind of fade out, and then you hear this, drum beats, and all of a sudden, this is just, epic theme just busts out of nowhere, whoa, when did this battle get real? I thought I was just I'm going to beat up this crocodile dude. And I'm like, oh, God, this thing's going to kill me. Even though I think the boss fight was actually not as good as the theme, but
Yeah.
As is typically the case.
That is one thing I will say is that the boss fights tend to get a little bit. I mean, I feel like they go a little bit too high on the repetitions that you need to hit them each time, to where you're doing like 9, 12, 15 sets of single hit before you can move on.
I do like that they, in all the games they have like multiple stages. Like you'd hit them X number of times, and then they change a little bit.
Yeah.
And hit them more, and they change the last time. It felt different than, I mean, most game boss fights do that, but especially in these games, I thought they handled the multi-stage things really well.
Yeah. Tony?
If I had to go with my best in series, I'd have to go with Donkey Kong Country 2.
Okay.
Just because I love the gameplay and interaction between Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong. I just really like that gameplay and how they interacted with each other. You could use teamwork and things like that. So,
You mean Diddy's Kong Quest?
or wait,
Is that it?
You meant Dixie, right?
wait.
No, I'm confused.
That is a
I'm
legit
questioning.
sound of an airplane overhead, in case people are wondering. We did not have an airdrop, so...
I was thinking too. I actually don't remember which characters in which game.
It's Donkey
Two.
Kong and
Is
Diddy
it-
in 1.
Diddy and Dixie.
Diddy
That
in
one.
2.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Diddy and
Yes,
Dixie was 2, yeah.
The baby and Dixie in the 3rd. I forget the baby's name. No one remembers the baby.
Don't mind me. I'm prepping for a baby, so I'm getting my wife's lack of remembering things. So,
I'm telling you, pregnancy brain is legit, isn't it?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
very legit. Love you, Nikki.
Okay, next up is the Rayman franchise. Came out in '95. This is Ubisoft's baby. So far, we got a pattern here. Each one of the big publishers kind of has their own go-to platformer. Except that we've done 2 that are Nintendo. But anyway, created by Michel Ancel. It was influenced by Russian, Chinese, and Celtic fairy tales, which I did not know. You gain additional abilities as you progress through the games, different types of punching, things like that. You know, throwing your gloves and whatever it is. The game's noted for difficulty, level design, and music. Origins was, as Brad mentioned, was the first one to use the UbiArt framework, and we talked briefly about it before. Thoughts on Rayman?
I loved the first one, even though it was impossibly hard. Hard. Like, there's one level where... I just remember it because it was so painful for me. Where it's raining, it starts to rain, and then it fills up, and you got to jump up. The music is amazing, and the level is freaking impossible to beat. It's ridiculous. Nicole is shaking her head violently. Yes, and I mean, like it's horrible, but game is great, fun, yay.
I can honestly say I kind of gave up on this game after a while when I was first starting to play it because it was so freaking
So
hard
hard,
for me.
yep.
And I was like, I can't, no, I'm going to throw this. I almost broke a couple controllers with it,
Yep.
and I was like, no, I'm done. I got to step away.
I've never played a Rayman game.
It's a strong man or woman that's able to
either.
say,
Yeah,
that's able to call
I've
it quits.
never
Well, that's
touched
good.
it.
It'll make this a short part of the segment.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always wanted to. They look fun.
That's why I first started playing it, because it's like, oh, this looks like a great game. It could be fun. And I was like,
No, it's not.
I
But the
regret my
music's worth
decision.
it.
Rayman Legends looks awesome.
Yeah, I played the demo for Rayman Legends, if that counts. But
Yeah, I played it at Best Buy.
other than that,
That's
I've
the
never
last time I've
touched
played a Rayman
I'm
game.
really enjoying it.
I have nothing to add.
Played the
to
first one, and
conversation.
then no more until that
We're just
demo
out
at
of
Best
this
Buy.
one.
Oh, that's fine. And this
I
is
stopped
exactly the
after the
point we were
first
making
one.
last week on the show about how it's good to have things that everyone can relate to. This is true. This is the one that I can sort of talk about a little bit.
Lies.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so sum it up in a word.
Hard.
Never played. Never dash played. A contraction word.
Okay.
That's my one word.
Oh my god, idiot.
All right. Let's move on to Crash Bandicoot. In 1996, the original one was developed by Naughty Dog. I think they passed it off to a different developer for pretty much each game since. There are 18 games in the series with 40 million copies shipped. This is
I had no idea.
This was huge news to me. I'm like, wow, really?
Yeah, it was big when it came out. Because
Well, I mean-
Sony was the first one.
Well, see, I knew it was on my radar for like the first 3 games.
Yeah, I played
But then
the first three.
I haven't thought about it as a franchise.
Yeah, there was a
since
racing game version of it that came
then.
later.
Yeah, see,
CTR.
Yeah.
yeah.
That was the best one.
Yeah. It was PlayStation's answer to Mario Kart, and it was
It was
probably the best
Yeah, I mean, the
kart
whole
racing
franchise
style
was
game
a
on the
was a
system.
reaction to Nintendo and Sega, frankly. It was Sony,
Yeah.
hey, sticking it to them because they both screwed them.
We need a animal mascot.
Yeah, so we
That's
can
smart as
screw
my
the other
name, but we
two
need some
guys
kind
that
of
screwed
mascot.
us. Yeah, it's legit.
So at the time they were developing the first game, arcades were starting to do full 3D rendering, and some of the developers were wondering, okay, what would an action platformer look like? So Crash Bandicoot became kind of what resulted from that. It's 3D action platforming. A lot of times along the Z-axis, it was codenamed Sonic's ass because
Which I
you're looking
love that.
into
It's so true.
because you're following the character from behind the entire time.
Yes, you are.
It was actually hashed out. The first game was actually hashed out during a road trip from Boston to L.A. by Jason Rubin and Andy Gavin, two of the developers on the game. The tech, they say, was created near Gary, Indiana. The game theory was designed
Chicago's graveyard.
the game theory was designed by the time they hit Colorado.
I'm not gonna say that. Never mind.
At some point during development, they realized there were too many empty areas in the game, so they added, and there were some enemy processing problems. They couldn't process too many enemies at a time. So they added crates, which have become a mainstay to the series ever since.
Yep.
All right, Crash Bandicoot.
Sucks. I hate every single game I've played. I've played all three of them, and I think they're all garbage. I can't stand Z-axis platforming, and I think it's bad.
I don't think they're bad.
It's the worst parts of the
I
Sonic
have
Adventure games, but
I have a word I'd use to describe it, but I'm gonna wait till we get to that. But they're not bad.
Do you want me to drop a Pika for you?
What?
Do you,
Are you
do
gonna
you
say
need me to drop a
something
Pika
bad?
for you?
Oh no, nothing about.
okay.
Nothing about, I'm talking about like.
Oh, you're waiting
That
for
was
the
really
one word.
funny.
For the
Did you
one
see me
word.
started
I
to
gotcha.
sweat a little bit? He's like, oh my god, no, what did I do? No. We're going to peek everything you say.
Did I say everything wrong?
See all the things.
I got so excited there for a second because I actually cleaned up the soundboard, so I have everything on the same page right now. I'm like, it's right here. I can use it if you want.
please.
So excited.
Oh my.
I'm trying to keep it PG here, people.
I'm just going to drop one anyway. Screw you.
I mean, it's an adorable sound.
And fits so nicely.
Yeah.
Okay.
The best game in the series is Crash Team Racing, which is
It really is.
Yeah.
That game's awesome. So much fun.
I didn't mind it.
Well, I mean,
If you were an early adopter for Sony PlayStation, which admittedly not a lot of people were at first, because it was like, I'm going to be a Nintendo 64 player and I have GoldenEye and you don't. There really wasn't a whole lot to play. So your choices were random fighting games,
Man.
of which there were choices.
it's true. Before
And
Final
Crash
Fantasy
Bandicoot.
7 and
Yeah,
Metal
there
Gear
was-
Solid,
there was nothing.
There wasn't really that much.
You must have just gotten beaten up as a kid because you were talking last week about being the only kid with a Genesis and everybody else had an SNES. And you're like, oh, you're playing.
Yeah, I did. All my friends got an N64, and then I was like, why would you keep cartridges when you have CDs, which are way cooler? Like, that was my whole rationale for getting the damn thing.
So your life story is that you've always been the odd man out.
Oh.
That makes me sad.
it all makes so much sense now.
Anyway,
It was like Crash and Twisted Metal were like the only
Twisted Metal was
noteworthy
good.
PS1
God.
games.
there was
love Twisted Metal.
Yeah, there was another game where it was
Especially
like
two.
overhead and
Oh,
you
that was
ran
the
around
best one.
shooting everybody, and it was really bloody and gory. And it was awesome. And that was part of the other reason I got a PlayStation, is because it had zero restrictions on anything when it came to blood and guts. And I was like, yep. And then they got Square, and that was all I needed.
Yeah.
And I was a 2-console person after that ever since.
And Gran Turismo. That was
Yeah,
a
Gran
later
Turismo.
PlayStation game.
It was later, but good, yes.
Okay, so best in the
Wipeout.
best in the Crash Bandicoot series.
Me and Kyle have the same
You
answer.
guys are going with
Crash Team Racing.
yeah
for
even
sure.
though
Yeah.
Nobody's bothered by the fact that we're talking about platformers here, and you guys are
Yeah,
suggesting
no, I
Racer.
think it says a lot when the best game in your platforming
It's a
series is
racing
a
game.
racer.
I mean,
I'm just not.
well, whatever.
All right, sum it up in a word.
No comment.
Go ahead.
Forgettable.
Forgettable.
Yeah, completely
Forgettable.
Yeah.
The
It's a great
just, I mean, obviously, like, it has its fan base, and I know people are like wondering, like, oh, are they gonna reboot Crash Bandicoot? It's like, I mean,
And
first of
everyone
all,
else is going, why?
everyone, yeah. I mean,
why?
he wasn't even included in the PlayStation All Stars game.
Yeah.
Like that gives you the kind of idea what kind of interest people
Yeah,
have.
when
in Crash
Parappa the
Bandicoot.
rapper beats you, you shouldn't exist.
right?
That's a fair point.
It is, and
Because Crash was designed to be the Sony mascot.
he was,
And,
and he was for a while, for like a hot second. And
I kind of always remember Spyro as being more of a
I was
thing
going to
than-
mention him.
Yeah.
Spyro was amazing. Then Nintendo killed him.
now available in Skylanders.
Yeah.
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 Well, actually,
More
both
toys.
of these franchises
Brutally murdered and then stuffed into a statue.
Yeah.
Screw you, Nintendo.
Crash and Spyro were both sold to Activision, which is why they've both burned and died. And You the
That
last
does explain a few things.
Like with the Sonic thing, with the Yuji Naka thing, it's all about the care and nurturing the franchise gets. You need to have a champion.
I also have a grudge against Jason Rubin. I hate him. Every
Really?
time he says something, every time I read an article where he's giving insight, I just can't stand him.
Did he
I think
fire you
he's-
from a website one time?
No. And by fire, I mean use my work for free and remove my...
all right.
And still
Don't
promote...
get butthurt, Brad.
and still use my work to sell advertisements so this can run his stupid Zelda fan site
Pika?
and use slave labor. I hate this.
Okay.
And I mean, you
Do
definitely
you want to
can't-
write slave labor for us? We'll use your words for free and I'll make money off of it.
Oh,
sure.
shut up, Brad.
Will you kick me out
No,
finally?
you know what I love about this is now it's official. Like over the course of the last 3 episodes, each one of us has had some kind of meltdown about something. I think it's awesome.
And every writer on that stupid website, freaking anime avatars.
Okay, moving right along.
I hate
Oh my
them.
god.
Moving right along.
Look at the time. It's time to move on to Banjo Kazooie.
Oh, it's whatever o'clock. Let's move on.
Whatever o'clock.
19. I don't know if that audio is going to compress down far enough to where that's going to be
Audible. It'll just be like random
Might have-
silence. Everybody's
Might
gonna
have snuck some Pika words in there.
go. Yeah, can't you like plug in some Pika?
There may just be like a random gap in the podcast where it's just like, oh, all of a sudden we're talking about something else.
It was the black hole.
Okay, Banjo Kazooie, 1998, Rare. Traversing open levels, solving puzzles, and collecting items is a lot more exploration since it was designed to be a 3D platformer. It's a dual character, Banjo and Kazooie, each brings different abilities to the table. First game developed by the Donkey Kong Country 2 team at Rare, originally designed for the SNES, then brought to the 64. Kyle, go ahead.
Never played.
You seem
Best
like you've got
platformer ever.
okay.
I wouldn't go that
Banjo
far, but
Kazooie.
me and
Best
Kyle are both huge Banjo fans.
platformer
Never played it.
ever
Never
made ever.
Why?
Period.
Because the name never appealed to me. At
Well,
this point, you're so,
so
neck deep
funny.
into mature games on Sony PlayStation that you're like, Banjo, what? Like,
Well,
who's going to play a bear that looks nothing like the musical instrument?
That and you were apparently the only one of your friends that didn't have a 64, so.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah. I ended up winning, by the way.
No, I love the gameplay. Yeah, me and Kyle are both huge Banjo fans. 1 and 2 are both classics. You can get them on Xbox Arcade right now.
One's better.
Yeah, 1 is the best.
Tui was bigger in scope, but I feel like it was almost too big.
Yeah, it kind of lost focus. A lot of sequels did that.
And Banjo Kazooie, it was I call it Mario 64 perfected, and it holds
That's
up.
exactly what it is.
I think it holds up better than Mario 64. I think it holds up than 90% of the platforms that came out on the Super Nintendo. I mean, Nintendo 64, and it was just so fun. It was so clever. It was so charming. Like the voices, like the
Oh my gosh, the tritone little Oompa music.
Yeah, and
One of the best soundtracks ever.
great
Grant
soundtrack. hilarious
Oh, I could-
dialogue.
God, I love the intro song.
So good, yes.
Little
I-
marimba. And,
You can get the whole thing on Grant Kirkhope's Bandcamp website. It's pay whatever you want. So I gave him like $5 because I felt guilty for downloading it for free otherwise. But you could download it for free.
I'm gonna download it for free.
You get the whole thing. It's called Banjo Kazooie Everything plus the Kitchen Sink, and it's like literally every single sound file in the game. So you have all the soundtrack, and then you also get every single little jiggy or whatever they were
so
called,
happy
every single
hearing this.
jingo or whatever. Yeah,
Jinzo. Jinzo or Jingo?
something like that.
Jinzo.
I don't know.
Jinzo.
But every little tritone, I just
So apparently, me and Brad are the only authorities on this series.
Meh.
But
Oh my gosh! Because there was that recent news story which we'll talk to maybe in
Yeah.
a future episode.
Yes.
well,
future
we
episode.
kind of. I mean, like, yeah, they're thinking about taking another crack at Banjo.
Yeah, they're thinking about finally opening
And-
up.
they should.
They
Yeah.
should, and
They should.
They
in defense, Nuts and Bolts was actually very well received.
I wanted to talk about that with you
For critics.
briefly, obviously, but
critics,
I didn't like it that much.
I didn't either. Fans hate it. Fans hate it.
I
But
didn't like
critically,
how
it was well received.
They should. I mean, I didn't realize how much there was actually going to be on foot, or not on foot, because your Banjo's like fat or something.
Right.
That's the whole like gimmick, is that he needs like a cart to get around. So you need to build all these contractions to drive around.
No. The beginning. No, well, no, whatever.
I kind of I forget, but
It wasn't like that.
It was something like that.
It was the opening scene, he was fat.
Kazooie was like,
He was
we have
fat
to go,
and-
and he's like, I can't.
Right,
Yeah.
and he was, and then like video game magic made him not fat anymore.
That's-
It was,
Oh, and that's another great thing about the series in general. They always have these in-jokes about like
Oh, yeah.
video games, and they're very self-aware, and this hilarious writing.
yeah,
It's great.
It's one of the most charming and clever games I've ever played in my entire life. It's one of my favorite games ever.
Yeah.
And I think it is, without a doubt, the best platformer ever made.
All right.
If they made a Banjo 3E for Xbox One, I would buy an Xbox One.
I would, and I would buy an Xbox One just to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be worth it for me.
Sum it up in one word.
Amazing,
Meh.
amazing, and screw you.
How dare you?
How dare you? I'm about to get choked out over here.
I could. I don't want to talk anymore.
While Kyle's taking a minute, we're going to move on to Little Big Planet.
Ooh, actually, I will say one thing. Also, shout out to Conker's Bad Fur Day,
I was going to say that too.
because that game is also hilarious
Very funny.
in a very different way. But I think it was also one of those games that kind of perfected the formula. And
Big giant poop.
and the big giant poo monster. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, next up, Little Big Planet. Came out in 2008, designed originally by Media Molecule. Nowadays, Sumo Digital is taking care of things. It's gameplay driven by the play, create, and share dynamic. The hook is designing your own levels and sharing them with other people. It's physics-based platforming. You navigate levels. You're collecting bubbles, which you then use in level creation and Sackboy customizations. You can make them look however you want, or her, if it's a Sack girl. The creation aspect, people use it to design games of other gameplay types, to create movies, all that sort of fun stuff, and they share it via PSN.
Woo.
I
Do you
think
want
that's
to continue from your tangent from earlier, Nicholas?
No, I mean, look, the first one's okay. I mean, I do agree that if you are if you're really, I think it was like,
Use your words.
I don't know, I'm just really having a hard time putting it all together. I think like Minecraft, right? If you're the kind of person, or Spore, if you're the kind of person that likes to create levels and you want to do that, then this game is just a console way for you to do that with really excellent gameplay mechanics. At least in the first one, you keep it simple, stupid. The later versions, like I said, 3, I can't even. I'm not even going to look at it in the store shelves. It's just not worth my life. Because I don't like the forced gameplay mechanic. It's like, look, give me the freedom to choose, and then let the level be designed well enough that it can allow for multiple different ways to get from point A to point B instead of forcing you to use every single little stupid bit.
Well,
I'm totally against that.
You kind of have that. For the hubs, you have the option of going through and choosing who you want to get different areas and all that. But
Sure.
like, in the actual levels, like it'll force you to change to a
Yeah,
different
and I don't
character.
like that. I don't want to have to do that. I just don't.
I will say I really did like the last level of 3 where you basically play through each phase as each one of the characters, and it's kind of like a combined mission, and then you change to somebody else so you can save one of the other ones and all of that. And it forces you to, so I can appreciate you not liking that.
Yeah, I mean, look, otherwise
But I
the
thought it
music's
worked really
good,
well.
the graphics are good. I mean, and some of the level gameplay is really great. Some of it not, but some of it is. And, it's got varying levels of difficulty, and I think that's good too. But yeah.
The fact that it's physics-based, I think, makes things interesting because you
I
kind
hate
of...
physics-based platforms.
Really?
I hate it. Yeah.
Hate. Can you go on a little tangent about why?
Just the
Why
fact
you hate
that
it?
a lot of it has to do with like gripping. Like you'll jump and have to hold on to something. I've never thought that felt right. It's very imprecise, which obviously
Would
in
you not
platformers-
jump and grip?
No, it just doesn't feel. It's like there's this weird window of when you actually press and hold, and then when you're holding it, it's like I don't know. It doesn't feel very good.
We should have Brad go rock climbing and see how that works for him.
Jump and climb.
Jump and climb.
Jump and grip.
I can think of several places. I'm thinking particularly around Princess Arch. That could work out real nicely at Red River Gorge.
Nice.
I'm just saying, it could be
I like
fun.
the way you snuck in a princess reference there.
I know,
that's
right?
where I was going.
I love you guys.
You're like, I'm going to be sneaky and make a callback.
Little Big Planet, big decline in quality. Everyone's been worse than the one
I
before
agree with
it.
that.
The
I
first
agree.
one was so innovative. It was like finally, like Sony has a platformer since Crash Bandicoot, really. That Jack and Daxter on PS2. Yeah, I mean it's its
meh.
own thing.
Oh, Jack
but-
Dasher was awesome. Shut up.
Well, I'm just saying it's not this big identity, and I think they wanted Little Big Planet to be this big thing, and
Yeah.
for many reasons, it saved the PS3. That was one of the games that and like Uncharted 1
Yeah,
were games
Uncharted
that like,
was
really
excellent.
turned it around. But at the same time, I don't know. The physics-based platforming, not that great. The best thing about it is the fact that you can create your own levels.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to segue on to that point. I appreciate the fact that for Little Big Planet you would create your own levels, because then it kind of gives, I don't know, normal gamers the idea of, hey, I'm making something. I could possibly make games too if I wanted to go into that kind of industry and inspire them to do those kinds of things. But I don't know, maybe that's just.
And now you've got Mario Maker coming from Nintendo later this year,
Mario
and
Makers.
presumably Zelda Maker. Rumors.
And in Smash Brothers, you can make your own levels and things like that,
and characters now too.
Yeah,
I love it.
So I mean, I like the fact that they're giving more power to the gamers to kind of, or at least that Little Big Planet kind of started that, where hey, you can make your own game, and then if we like that idea, maybe we'll incorporate our own. So I guess that's intellectual property theft, but I mean, you're making it on their game, so
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay. Favorite in the series? One is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, one.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Sum it up in one word.
Meh.
Not played.
That's fine.
Two words.
Not dash played. Again.
interesting.
Yeah,
I'll use that word. Interesting.
Yep. That's that.
I also think, and this is going to be a mini tangent, but Media Molecule or whatever, they make it. They have this weird, obviously, games like Mario are semi-aimed at children. It's very colorful, very kiddie-friendly, but it doesn't feel like too much. Captain Toad, I'm playing through now, feels a little bit close to being a little too
It
kid-pushing.
is.
But it's not that bad.
That's why it's fun.
Little Big Planet is the worst. It's like, hey kids, you want to build levels? And there's all some playful music. It is so much worse than any Nintendo game. It doesn't feel like it's for everyone. It feels like it's just for kids.
That was legit terrifying.
Yeah.
And we need that sound effect as well
Hey,
to add.
I don't know. And they're always, use the power of your imagination. You can create whatever. It's like Disney, well, even Disney's better at being all ages than Little Big Planet is.
That's the first thing I said to you guys after I started playing Little Big Planet 3, which was the first that I'd play, was I'm not sure if this is charming or if it's talking down to me.
Yeah, it's way too, it makes you feel stupid.
It's over the top.
Like Mario, it's challenging. It puts you to the test. If you're really good, you can get extremely high reward out of it. But
Mario doesn't try a whole lot of
He doesn't turn around and go,
like that.
"You're a dumb," or anything
Yeah,
like that.
You're
a dumb.
All right. Any final thoughts on platforming before we kiss this one off?
What?
Okay, then.
And with that, you can listen to us on all the normal shtick, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and the like. Facebook and Twitter, GamerFeed Radio. The new website, GamerFeedRadio.com. Check it out.
Beautiful.
And YouTube, our brand new
episodes
YouTube.
on YouTube.
We got episodes, DLC, and more shenanigans coming soon. Peace.
Drop it.